If you just lost your job, what you do in the next 72 hours will determine whether you bounce back stronger or find yourself in a financial tailspin that takes months to recover from. Most people get this completely wrong, and today I'm going to show you exactly what separates those who thrive after job loss from those who struggle for years. The moment you lose your job, your brain goes into panic mode. You're flooded with emotions, uncertainty, and probably a fair amount of anger or shock. But here's the brutal truth. Your feelings don't pay your bills. The decisions you make in these first crucial days will either give you the breathing room to find something better, or they'll accelerate your slide toward financial disaster. I've seen people handle job loss in two completely different ways. Some treat it like a temporary inconvenience, continuing their usual spending habits while they casually browse job boards. Others immediately shift into survival mode, making hard choices that buy them precious time. Guess which group recovers faster and often ends up in better positions than before? Let me tell you about Sarah, a marketing manager who got laid off last year. The day she lost her job, she went straight to Target and bought $200 worth of comfort purchases. Her reasoning? She deserved it after what happened. 3 months later, she was borrowing money from family because she burned through her savings while being picky about job opportunities. Compare that to Marcus, who got laid off the same week from a similar role. His first stop was his laptop to cancel every non-essential subscription and freeze his credit cards. 6 weeks later, he landed a better job with a 20% pay increase, and he still had most of his emergency fund intact. The difference wasn't luck or connections. It was their immediate response to the crisis. Your first mission is stopping the financial bleeding. This isn't about being cheap or dramatic. It's about mathematics. Every dollar you don't spend today is a dollar that buys you more time to find the right opportunity instead of desperately taking the first thing that comes along. Start with your subscriptions. That Netflix account, the gym membership you barely use, the meal delivery service, the premium Spotify plan. Cancel them all. Yes, even the ones that seem essential. You can always restart them later. I know this feels extreme, but extreme situations require extreme responses. We're talking about survival mode here. Next, freeze all discretionary spending immediately. No eating out, no online shopping, no impulse purchases at the grocery store. Stick to absolute necessities only. This isn't permanent, but it's crucial for the short term. Every unnecessary dollar you spend right now is potentially a day less you can afford to be selective about your next job. Here's what most people don't realize. The biggest advantage you have right after losing a job is time. You can afford to be strategic, to network properly, to find something better than what you had, but only if you're not hemorrhaging money on lifestyle expenses that suddenly became luxuries you can't afford. Look at your bank statements from the last 3 months. Add up everything that wasn't rent, utilities, groceries, or debt payments. That number is probably shocking. And it's exactly how much runway you just bought yourself by cutting those expenses. Now let's talk about generating immediate cash flow, because cutting expenses is only half the equation. You need money coming in even if it's not from your dream job. This is where pride becomes your enemy. The goal isn't to maintain your previous lifestyle or job title. It's to survive and create space for a proper job search. Cash flow beats dignity every single time in survival scenarios. A temporary retail job or freelance gig that brings in even a few $100 a week can extend your runway by months. That extra time often makes the difference between taking the first desperate offer and holding out for something that actually advances your career. Consider every option available to you. Can you drive for a rideshare company? Do you have skills you can freelance? Is there consulting work in your field, even at a lower rate? Can you pick up part-time retail or restaurant work? These aren't steps backward. They're strategic moves that keep you afloat while you pursue better opportunities. I know someone who worked at a coffee shop for 2 months after losing his corporate job. His former colleagues thought he was crazy, but that income allowed him to be selective during his job search, instead of panic applying to everything. He ended up with a role that paid 30% more than his previous position, specifically because he wasn't desperate when he interviewed. The freelance economy is massive right now. Platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, and even local Facebook groups are full of opportunities for quick income. It might not be glamorous work, but it serves the crucial purpose of slowing your financial burn rate while you focus on finding something permanent and worthwhile. Here's where most people make their biggest mistake. They wait too long to take action. They treat job loss like a temporary inconvenience rather than the financial emergency it actually is. This delay is usually driven by embarrassment, shock, or misplaced optimism about how quickly they'll find something new. The average job search takes 3 to 6 months, even in good economic conditions. If you wait 2 months to start taking your situation seriously, you're already in trouble. By then, your savings are depleted, your stress levels are through the roof, and you're applying to jobs from a position of desperation rather than strength. People wait because they're embarrassed about their situation. They don't want friends to know they're struggling, so they don't network aggressively. They don't want to take a temporary job because of what it might look like on their resume. They don't want to make drastic spending cuts because it feels like admitting defeat. But here's the reality. The longer you wait to take aggressive action, the fewer options you have. The person who immediately starts networking, cutting costs, and generating any form of income has infinitely more choices than the person who waits until their savings are nearly gone. Your former colleagues and professional network want to help, but they can't help if they don't know you need it. Reach out immediately, not in 2 months when you're desperate. The conversation is completely different when you're being proactive versus reactive. Another critical mistake is applying to jobs randomly instead of strategically. When you're not desperate, you can research companies, network your way into opportunities, and present yourself as a strong candidate evaluating options. When you're desperate, you're just another resume in a pile, competing with hundreds of other applicants. Now here's something that might sound counterintuitive. Job loss can actually be the best thing that ever happened to your career. I'm not saying this to minimize how difficult and stressful it is right now, but many of the most successful people I know only made dramatic positive changes in their careers because they were forced to by circumstances like layoffs. When you have a steady paycheck, it's easy to stay comfortable in a role that isn't really advancing your career. You tolerate bad managers, limited growth opportunities, and below-market compensation because the known feels safer than the unknown. Job loss strips away that comfort zone and forces you to evaluate what you really want from your career. This is your opportunity to reset completely. Maybe you've been in the wrong industry or the wrong type of role within your industry. Maybe you've been undervaluing your skills and accepting lower compensation than you deserve. Maybe you've been avoiding that career transition you've been thinking about for years. Use this time to really examine what you want your career to look like, not just what's familiar or safe. Research industries that are growing, roles that pay better, or companies with better cultures. Consider whether this is the right time to finally start that business you've been thinking about, or to pivot into a field you're genuinely passionate about. The people who emerge stronger from job loss are the ones who use the disruption as an opportunity for intentional change, rather than just trying to get back to where they were. They're the ones who move quickly to stabilize their situation, then use their expanded runway to be strategic about what comes next. Your response to this crisis will define the next phase of your career. You can let it derail you, or you can use it as the catalyst for something better than what you had before. The choice is entirely yours, but you have to act now while you still have options. Take control of your financial situation immediately. Generate cash flow however you can. Avoid the common mistakes that trip up most people, and use this disruption as an opportunity to build something better. The next few days will determine which path you're on. Please like, subscribe, and share to follow us and see more content like this. Check our other videos. New content weekly.